Hello and welcome to episode 136 of the Vegan Business Tribe podcast with myself, David Pennell, and Vegan Business Tribe is here to support you and to inspire you, not just to build a vegan business, but to build a successful vegan business. And you can listen along on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can also watch the video version on YouTube too. And thank you, as always, to our amazing sponsors, who you're going to hear from when we get to the ad break. But they are Vegan Accountants and Mad Promotions. Do go check them out. They are both just amazing vegan-owned businesses, and they do a lot of work with our members at Vegan Business Tribe, and they put a lot back into the movement as well. So please do go check them out. And you are joining me today for a special feature-length episode this week because we have just completed our yearly Battle of the Brands competition, where one vegan food brand gets to win a full day of meetings with retail buyers who are looking for new and innovative plant-based products in the UK and across Europe. And this year, we have had more entries than ever, and the quality of those entries, they are just so much higher too. So much so that, in fact, just selecting 3 brands to go through to our live final, it was literally impossible for the judges. So we ended up inviting 4 brands to our final instead. So I'm going to bring you the live final as it was recorded, where our 4 finalists have to now win over our 4 judges, Dragon's Den style or Shark Tank style, if you're listening in the US, to win that place at veg-net 2025, where they will get a full day of meetings with retail buyers to pitch their product. And this year, our 4 vegan dragon judges, they were Chris Kong, the co-founder of Better Nature Tempeh, Joe Hill, the co-founder of One Planet Pizza, Joe Flynn, who is from the Vegan Society trademark, and then our very own Keith Lesser, the owner of Vegan Accountants and also our sponsor here at Vegan Business Tribe too. Now, before we jump in, just one heads up that one of our live finalists, she was having just a really hard time with her internet connection because she'd just been, and we had to let her off, because she'd just been to pitch her brand to a big national retailer at the Bread and Jam event in London. And so her connection kept dropping out, meaning that she had to go run to a local coffee shop to get back online. So her section, it's a little bit noisy. There's quite a lot of background noise going on with being in a coffee shop. So if background noise just really triggers you from an audio point of view, then you can just skip ahead for a few more minutes. Don't let it spoil your listening to this, because it's worth really keeping with that section, because the content of the questions that are asked, it's really good, and it's only a short segment of a whole episode. But I wanted to keep that in there just because there's some really important learning in there. Okay, so let's head into our live Battle of the Brands 2025 final. Hello and welcome to our Battle of the Brands competition, where our plant-based brands are all fighting out for a free place at veg-net 2025, where they're going to win a full day of meetings with retail buyers from the UK and Europe who are looking for new, innovative and healthier plant-based products. And that's why we're all here in the room today. And we are now down to the final 4 brands that we're all hoping to win a place. And regardless of what happens today, just getting to this final in its own, it is absolutely recognition in itself. But standing in between our brands and the retail buyers today are our 4 judges who you finalists have to impress. And I'll just introduce them very quickly to save a little bit of time. They are Chris Kong, who is the co-founder of Better Nature Tempeh. Everybody wave at Chris. There is Joe Hill, who is the co-founder of One Planet Pizza. Let's all wave at Joe. We've got a second Joe. We've got Joe Flynn, who's standing in. So Joe is a last-minute replacement for Mirren, and Joe is a product and merchandise manager at the Vegan Society. And then we've also got, last but not least, we've got Keith Lesser, who is the owner of Vegan Accountants. So everyone give a wave to Keith too. So that is who we need to impress today. We've also got Mike Hill with us, and Mike is our silent judge. Mike is joining us from veg-net, and he's going to have the casting vote in case the judges can't decide on a winner today. So he's not going to be asking you any questions, but you still need to impress Mike as well. Great. So let's get started with the battle. So each brand has already submitted a video entry, and I'm going to play each of those entries as an introduction to their session. And then each entrant is going to be grilled for 15 minutes. And because we've got 4 judges, that means that each judge is only going to get about 3.5 minutes each to ask their questions. So please bear that in mind, brands. If you take 3 minutes to answer just one question, you are not going to be popular with that judge, and that's going to really impact your chances of winning today. So we've picked at random the order that people are going to go in, and Fliss is going to go first, if that's okay. Fliss from Wild Things. So Fliss, first of all, I will share your video with the group, and then we're going to go around and question you. And Joe Hill is going to be the first person to ask you questions today. So Joe, if you want to get your first questions ready for Fliss, and then bear with me 1 second while I do something technical to get Fliss's video, hopefully, playing on the screen. Okay, so hopefully you can all see that. And this was Fliss from Wild Things entry.
Hello, Vegan Business Tribe. I am Fliss. I'm the founder of Wild Things Sweets. And I'm going to tell you why I think we deserve a place for the Battle of the Brands to get these sweets in front of the big retailers. I've been a vegan myself now for 8 or 9 years, and I worked the majority of my career at Mondelez, who, as you know, are a big confectionery giant. And I found it mad that there wasn't a sweet out there like this. We've got half the sugar of the big brands. We've got no artificials, just organic, plant-based ingredients. Of course, we do not use gelatin in our products. We use pectins from fruits to bind them. And what we're trying to prove is that plant-based and organic can be as fun, as cool, as tasty, and as exciting for kids as anything else that's out there, and boot Haribo off the shelf. So we'd love your support. Please put us forward to the next round. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely wonderful entry video there as well. Right, so you're going to have the next 15 minutes. Joe's going to go first. Joe, you've got about 3.5 minutes to quiz Fliss.
Be my sweets with me.
There you go. Joe, over to you.
Hey, we're a big fan of puns over here at One Planet Pizza, so that's a good start. Right, thank you, Fliss. That was brilliant. And yeah, I've been aware of the brand already, big fan. It'd be good to understand the competitive landscape. I'm not to put words in your mouth, but I presume biggest competition is quite a well-known established brand already. So it'd be good to understand sort of how you're different, what gap you're filling in the market that they potentially aren't already.
That's a great question. Thanks, Joe. Our positioning with Wild Things is really when you look at, so the top 6 selling sweet brands, your Mawams, your Haribos, your Rowntrees, your Mondelez, it's very kid focused and it's fun, it's colours, it's awesome. When you look at then the natural or the organic players, suddenly it's devoid of colour, it's whites, pastels and creams. You lose that fun factor, which you know, versus the Skittles, that kind of pester power and excitement for kids in the healthy kind of sector just isn't there. When you look at a lot of the innovation, which I think is what you might be alluding to, that's come through in the last 5 years, it's very adult, it's very gourmet, it's pastel pinks. And what we are trying to do is collide the fun factor and the attitude and the vibe of those kind of big players for kids with being a sweet that has the ingredients of a saint. So our positioning really is kids between 4 and 12, not the kind of the guys on the call here today that and a lot of the innovation coming through I love to see. A lot of it now, even newer stuff, is like 0 sugar, but we specifically are trying to target a shopper, which is a parent that wants their kids to eat less sugar, not 0 sugar, not sweetness, but less sugar, and as natural as it can be in terms of being organic and plant-based. So that's really where we fit in, Joe. It's less of the adult stuff that we see coming through, but more how do we be as fun for kids as a Haribo, but as good as we can be for them as a sweet.
That's perfect. Dave, have I still got time?
You've got another 1.5 minutes. Yeah, keep going.
What's your stockist a distribution points situation like so far, Fliss? I looked on the website. You're on Amazon, which is obviously great. I guess key focus is retail, and I should think convenience. Are you making contact? Any progress so far?
Well, I don't know if this is even if I can share this, but we hope to be on a big online retailer very soon. who begin with an O, which is really exciting. But ultimately, we are trying to build distribution at the moment through the independent sector and kind of food service out of home, wherever families are out and about, whether that be a coffee shop, farm shop, garden centre, ice rink, theatre, zoo, National Trust. We want to be. So that's our kind of big focus at the moment, whilst always trying to get our hat in the ring of a bigger grocery multiple, which is what I'm hoping this opportunity could hopefully unlock. So we're knocking on doors in that place, but you know how hard it is to get listings particularly in the big five.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And if I get time, manufacturing, do you mind if I ask if it's in the UK or EU?
We use an Austrian manufacturer.
Okay.
The recipe we've got is quite uniquely innovative in the fact that we're lower sugar but without sweeteners and additives and rubbish that isn't necessary. So we use them as like experts. They're small batch manufacturers, and obviously everything we do is organic. But no, they're based in Austria.
Excellent. And they no issues with scalability. They're ready to go, are they?
No, they're set up to scale. I mean, we would be one of, if not the smallest people that they would work with. So we are set up to scale and ready for that. And our logistics partner that we use in Evesham here, I mean, we utilise around sort of up to 50 pallets of their 20,000 pallet operation. So again, they're backing us and they're ready for us to hopefully bring in a bigger grocery retailer at some point. And when we do,
that is time up for Joe. So thank you so much.
Very well done answering all those questions.
Yeah, Joe, I think you've covered everything. I don't think we need to ask anything. Yes. Well done, get that in. So let's keep with the Joes to start off. So can I go to Joe Flynn next, please, from A Vegan Society? Joe, over to you.
Hey, Fliss. Yeah, I love the packaging, by the way, as well. I haven't actually tried your product, so I definitely need to do that. But yeah, the packaging's great. So I just wanted to kind of know what feedback have you had from consumers and how has that helped shape what your product looks like today?
Well, I started, so we don't have much time, so I need to be quick. But the business and the suite I'm dealing with is actually a 40-year-old vegan brand, previously known as Veggie Bears, Veggie Hogs. I, as a vegan, am passionate about making vegan products mainstream. So the initial consumer research I did was with the sweets that taste, I'm biased, Joe, we'll send you some, they taste fantastic. And talking to mums and dads, what do you want from sweets? What is interesting? You know, what is compelling for you? And that's where we got to this dichotomy of they want low sugar and they want no artificial. So that is really our obsession with our messaging. You'll notice, like, obviously we say plant-based on the front of the pack, but really our messaging is all about no artificial, half the sugar, because we see that is the biggest mainstream appeal, particularly for parents when they're shopping for their kids. So yeah, I did many groups with different mums and kids. When I'm out now and sampling, the feedback is fantastic, particularly on taste. And I think with any product, vegan or not, taste comes first. And I mean, I've got an easy consumer because it's kids and sweets. But it's quite overwhelming to hear that people are shocked when I let them taste our product. And then I explain, look, we're half the sugar of typical sweets. We're 25% less sugar than Bear's fruit snacks. It is one of shock, which is exactly what we want. So yeah, it's good. But yeah, really the early consumer research with parents got us to that point of obsessing about our messaging on no artificials and half the sugar.
No, that's great. And so yeah, how do you use social media and marketing to, I guess, engage with your audience?
Oh God, early days. We have done some stuff on social media. Our idea was there's so much now with challenger brands doing really cool stuff in the office. We had an idea like how would Wild Things do that? And we have hired kind of the Wild kids to be in our office. It's really kind of my friends and family's kids in their green boiler suits, trying to do something that cuts through the noise, because obviously when it comes to social media, you're not just competing in your category, you're competing with every attention on the internet, the scroll stopping. So we've been obviously we've only launched in January. We're a few months in. We've seen some good traction. I mean, my most recent video, I got one of my colleagues' daughters to cook a recipe of big brand sweets, and we poured fake gelatin, palm oil, talcum powder, and all the nasty rubbish that goes into them. And it got 20,000 views and a lot of interesting controversial comments. So I think more of that is our plan. And the beauty of social media and LinkedIn, I'll include in that, is actually for challenger brand, you can have a voice that you obviously in other mediums like TV and billboards, you just can't compete with the budgets. Whereas I hope to do even more cheeky, challenger, scrappy stuff. And I think with a brand like ours that is a bit more punk, we're ready to do it and to take on the big boys.
Yeah, no, that's great. More time, David, or
About 20 seconds.
I was going to say the punk element of it, like what kind of inspired that?
I just really want to prove that organic and plant-based can be as badass as anything else. We got to our Venus flytrap mascot V because we brainstormed what is the most badass plant-based thing. And I'm sorry, a Venus flytrap has to be it. So the whole creative concept kind of came from that. So I want to rebrand what vegan is. And I think we've been through a tough journey the last 5 years as a sector. And particularly for kids, I want it to be as cool and as fun and punk for me is about defiance. So yeah, I'm getting a thumbs up from David.
Time is up. Brilliant, thank you. And again, wonderful questions, wonderfully answered too. Let's go to Keith next, please. Keith from Vegan Accountants. Next 3.5 minutes, over to you.
Hi there. I think everyone's covered a lot of stuff, so I'll stick to numbers because that's what I'm comfortable with. Might come back to being a parent at the end. Just in terms of your pricing and margins and so you said you've launched since January, how many you've sold, that sort of thing.
So currently at the moment, my biggest, just about my biggest sales driver right now is Amazon. We sold 10,000 year to date, and I haven't really started on Amazon. It's a case of resourcing. I've actually got someone to come in and help me with that. But 10,000 in terms of sales delivery. And then we're seeing really good early sales momentum in the likes that we spoke about. So through the independents, again, nearing that 10K figure. In terms of my pricing, Keith, was that a question as well?
Yeah, like do you make how does it work? Do you make money on each order, or where's that at?
Yeah, so what I'm kind of looking at is, so our pricing in store, our recommended pricing is really aligned with a Candy Kittens type pricing. So it's premium within the category, but it's much more competitive than any other organic sweet offering that's out there. That was quite a passion point for me, that we are an accessible premium, particularly in a category like sweets, which is quite heavily very price competitive. In terms of our like margins, we make a chunky margin off versus our cost of goods when we sell to our customers, but it's not as chunky as I'd like it to be. I think that will need to come with scale, which is getting the likes of a big grocery multiple to be able to drive that scale and get the economies there. With how we manufacture, kind of having bigger manufacturing bites. But even as it is today, it more than washes its face when we sell to our retailers. And I'm deliberately squeezing that because I want to be competitive at the shelf edge. Otherwise, any parent, family, also on budgets, aren't going to be buying a sweet like ours unless it is competitively priced in the market.
Mm-hmm. And is it your business 100%, or are there any investors or anything like that yet?
It's 50% my business, and then 50% is investors who are friends and family who've backed me through, or said that ready to back me through the years. I mean, this, as I said, it was a 40-year-old brand that was looking for a new home. When I quote bought the business, it was more a case of me taking the stock that was off their hands, and then looking for people who through the years have known me and saying, would you back me to do this? And they've come in on that. So it's privately owned, and yeah, we've got, I'd say, enough cash to kind of give a good go at it for the next few years. And then I think then it will come to the pace of trying to raise some more cash to really, really take it to another league.
Mm-hmm.
Another 30 seconds, Keith.
Oh, I've got time for a dad question.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one because I'm obviously not wanting to give my 5-year-old loads of rubbish, but obviously when you say healthy sweets, that's an interesting one. But I've just had a quick look. So there's 27 grams of sugar, but what are kind of the healthy bits? Why should I buy them?
Well, again, Keith, my obsession is we say health. I don't really say healthy. I say healthier. And what we saw in the research we did with parents is 64% of parents were really reluctant to give their kids sweets, but 75% agree that a childhood without sweets is a pretty rubbish one. So what we're trying to give to you is, in this world where you've got enough to worry about with smartphones and everything else that's going on, I don't want sweets to be something that keeps you up at night or gives you guilt. When you want to give your kids sweets, whether that's a party, Halloween, a little treat, we want to be the best possible option out there that will be delivering on fun in the same way for your kids, as any of the Haribo would, but makes you feel a bit better that there's no added nasties and there's significantly less sugar even than a fruit snack. I'm getting a thumbs up. Does that answer your question, Keith?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Keith. Brilliant angle to the questions there too. Right, let's go to somebody else who I know has got a bit of a sweet tooth. Chris Kong, please, from Better Nature Tempeh. You've got the next 3.5.
Thanks, Dave. Well, first, Well done on answering all the questions. You know, I'm having a look at the website now, having a look at your Amazon listing, looks incredible. Just really interested to get a better understanding of the team. So you mentioned, is it just you at the moment working on Wild Things?
I could flip the laptop. We're a 4-woman team at the moment, and that's quite recent. So it really was me and Abby, who's our head of operations. I did everything commercial, sales, marketing, and she did everything that is important in terms of getting stock from A to B and logistics. We recently made 2 hires in sales and marketing who are young, hungry. One's ex-Huel, one's ex-Dalesford and Harrods, and they are honestly 4 weeks in and they're already absolutely killing it. So we are now, and that's kind of how I intend it to be for the foreseeable. We're a team of 4 powerhouse women taking on the confectionery giants.
Amazing. And I guess, you mentioned that it's an incredibly competitive category. Like once you're in store, once you're with these retailers, the first thing they're going to want to know is, well, I mean, even before, is how you're going to activate the listing on shelf. Like, what's your strategy around activations in retail?
Well, currently with our currently, and it will really be the same, but our strategy with any independents that list us, let's take Eat 17 recently, which is a lovely supermarket up in Walthamstow. We want to do a sampling to support because taste is king. Getting more sweets in more people's hands. I think if we can do that on a bigger scale with future bigger listings, it's going to be a really important piece of our marketing strategy. Get people tasting our sweets, but also doing something more than just a sampling. So we come with a bit of a Wild Things party and pinatas and music and party hats and bunting. But I want to really make that, that party, that punk feel, like see if we can do that for our activations. And this summer, we're doing a few family-friendly festivals across the summer, Pub in the Park, the Big Feastable. That essence and that vibe that we capture there, I would love to bring into any future activations that we do. So it's more than just somebody stood there with a board and sweets, but we're actually bringing the energy and the essence and the attitude of Wild Things to our activations.
Very cool. Awesome. And I guess, a little bit more about your background. Like, obviously it seems like you're incredibly knowledgeable. You're smashing all the questions. Like, what's your background? Do you mind sharing a little bit more?
It's kind of, no. So my majority of my career, about 6.5 years, was spent at Mondelez, who own Cadbury's, Maynard's Bassett's, so sweets and confect and biscuits. So I trained and had an incredible time with them and learned so much, but trained across their marketing and sales, frontline sales, internal sales, and e-commerce. So I've had fantastic time with them. I, as a vegan myself, was always itching to move to a more purpose-driven brands, or more aligned to my purpose, let's say. So I actually made them move to a regenerative plant-based milk company that were based in Singapore and trying to actually tackle America before I then came across what is now Wild Things, which is about a year and a bit ago now. So
and time is up. Time is up. So I'm sure there's more to add to that, but they're wonderful. Thank you for those, Chris. Wonderful questions. Right. So, Felice, congratulations. You did extraordinarily well there. I don't think any of those questions threw you too much. So thank you so much for your entry as well.
Thanks, guys.
Right, so let's keep going. So I'm going to bring Rianne in next, if that's okay, just because Rianne's had a few internet connections. She is on the road today, and she did apologise beforehand. So she's gone and found a Starbucks. So what I'll do is I will play Rianne's entry, and then we'll go over to you first. So 1 second, let me just share, do some technical things again, and then hopefully you can see the intro video too.
Hi, my name's Rianne. I'm the founder of Veg Life. I started the business after a pandemic redundancy. Took me from my expedition leader role, where I used to take groups to East Africa, South America, Southeast Asia, taking part in project work with a long-lasting sustainable impact. Upon returning to the UK, I wished to channel that passion for sustainability and combined it with my love of food. During the COVID restriction that required a substantial meal to enjoy a pint at the pub, I saw an opportunity to take my creation of a plant-based Scotch egg to market, resembling its traditional counterpart in appearance, texture and taste, with 7 grams less fat, exactly the same amount of protein, a fifth less calories and no cholesterol, all the while letting the pigs and chickens off scotch-free. The packaging is fully home compostable, one of the ways that we champion sustainability, as well as our community fridge projects, work placements for refugees and rehabilitation programmes. It just shows that great tasting food can have a positive impact on the world.
And there we go, vegan Scotch eggs. Who'd have thought that we'd live in a world where we've got vegan Scotch eggs? So I'm going to go to a man who looks like he likes a Scotch egg. Can we go to Joe Flynn first? So Joe Flynn from Vegan Society, you get the first 3.5 minutes. Over to you.
No, yeah, love the product, and yeah, I think going over your website, I think it's the personality of yourself, and that comes through the product. It's really cool. So I kind of just guess you kind of said in that video what inspired you, and what's on the website. But I'd like to hear it from you, in terms of your experience and kind of how you've led to creating that product.
Firstly, I apologise. It seems like I'm selling vegan cheese and how cheesy that intro was. So I used to lead expeditions, taking school groups to East Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia, taking part in wildlife conservation, building classrooms and community centres. Pandemic happened, not great for the travel industry. And so I moved back to Worcestershire from my home in Dubai, which is kind of the polar opposite. And then there was a restriction in COVID where you couldn't get a pint at the pub without a substantial meal, and a Scotch egg was deemed substantial. And that's where my creation went to market for the first time. So my local pub didn't have a vegan option, and rather selfishly, I wanted a pint. So I offered to make them one. They said, you know what, you can't tell the difference. It reduces our risk of food waste. We don't have to have a meat and a veggie option. We just won't tell anyone they're vegan. Walked in the pub the one day, and there were some old boys with the tankers going, Scotch eggs are fantastic. You've got to try that chili one. And I said, I actually make them. They're plant-based. There's no meat, there's no egg, they're vegan. And they said, I knew that there was something wrong. But that was the light bulb moment of, I wanted something here, we need to take it further afield.
No, that's great. So how do you ensure then that the product aligns with the sustainability that you've talked about and ethical sourcing?
So because of my work with the expeditions, I got to know the UN Sustainable Development Goals inside out. Sustainability is so much more than packaging. I think quite often it just gets condemned to just being plastic free. It's about having a sustainable future for the planet and all of its inhabitants. So we channel that through our operations and our processes, as well as our ingredients, ensuring where we source every product, every ingredient is coming from a sustainable background, but also offering work placements for refugees and rehabilitation programs. It allows us to channel sustainability in so much more. And the packagings are fully home compostable, so you can use it as a plant pot. And then that sprouted from a project I'd worked on overseas many times doing reforestation. So every trip that I led, we'd offset our carbon emissions for the flight by doing a day's reforestation project. And we'd go there and we'd take the saplings out of the tree nursery, and working with 17, 18-year-olds tends to be that the bin liner type material that the sapling was carried in would fly off or get trampled into the ground. And I said it felt counterproductive that we were doing a reforestation project and they were littering. So I'm now working to try and get the packets over to some of the reforestation projects that I used to work on, so that they can actually plant the saplings into the packet. And little accident that's great, we found that the oils that we use for the Scotch eggs also speeds up the decomposition process, as well as adding nutrients to the packet as well.
No, that sounds amazing. I guess, yeah. So what's next for the product? Any kind of expansions, or what's next?
And you've got 20 seconds to answer that one.
So I called it veg-life because I didn't want to restrict ourselves just to eggs. So I have a few more things up my sleeve.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Joe. And the audio quality is in and out a little bit, Rian, but we're getting pretty much 80% of what you're saying, 90% of what you're saying. But yeah, just bear with us if we ask you to repeat anything.
Do you want me to try without the headphones, see if that's any better?
You could try. Let me just pause your timer.
It might be too much background noise.
No, that sounds better. Yeah, and if you're happy to lean forwards as well.
Yeah, if you don't mind, you got a real close up on my face. Sorry.
Perfect. That's great. Fantastic. Right. So let's go to Keith next, please. Keith Lesser, please. Next 3.5 minutes for you.
Right. So let's jump in. Yeah, where are you at in terms of sales, and what have you achieved so far in terms of scale, really?
Sold over 70,000 Scotch eggs in the last 3 years. 10,000 of which were out of my mum and dad's kitchen. So we sell to Westmoreland Services. Gloucester Services is one of our top sellers. And then we have Infinity Foods. And then everyone else is independents at the moment. But we've just secured a listing with Vegetarian Express last week. So it opens up so many more opportunities for us now to expand.
And could you say you got an order for like 1 million? Would you be ready to go, or is there?
Yeah. So over the last 3 years, last 18 months really, when we started to get interest from bigger buyers and looking at, okay, we're going to be working towards 10,000 units a week. I designed a mold, I 3D printed it and set it in food safe silicone so that I could create a whole egg. So the Scotch egg process in a manufacturing sense is exactly the same as ours. It was just that the egg needed the same shape and strength. So now we can get a production partner, which we've been talking to take the whole egg that we'll make in-house. I'm in the process of building an egg factory, and then it means that there's much less limitations on our capacity.
Okay. I mean, I sort of look at the product, I think, oh, I'd love to try, I'd really enjoy it, but I'm vegan, and I just wonder with the non-vegans, you know, all the evil people out there, what would attract them, you know, to the product? Because I guess the challenge is for a vegan product and like your branding is to actually appeal to non-vegans, right? Because they're like the main market, and we want to convert them and all that. So do you think, is it a little bit too veganized at the moment? Does it somehow need to be a bit more mainstream?
So I use Gloucester Services as a bit of a soundboard for that, because we have them in the deli loose and they're labelled as vegan, and then we also have them in the grab and go section in the packaged, and they sell more in the packaged. And we believe that it's due to a lot of people not realising that they're plant-based, because of it not screaming vegan on it. So actually it's worked out quite well that we can target both audiences, because we've got the vegan market because it's a product that isn't usually available and it's this familiar thing, but also because of the Scotch egg. I find that British people are quite creatures of habit, and the familiarity of the Scotch egg, people are willing to try it because it looks how they know, and then it's got the taste and the texture of how they know. And so it's opened up so many more conversations around plant-based food, the power of a Scotch egg.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think the challenge might be almost getting people to have it without realising it. You know, that accidental purchase, and then like falling in love with the product, basically. So.
And time is up, Keith. So brilliant, yeah, and fantastic to end on that point as well. I'm kind of learning a lot today, which is really, really nice when you're on one of these sessions. So thank you so much, Keith, and brilliant questions as always. So let's move on. Can we go to Chris next, please? Chris Kong. The next 3.5 minutes are all yours.
Ariane, thank you so much for the presentation. It's excellent. I'd love to give it a go. I haven't tried it myself. I think what Keith mentioned as a potential bottleneck could be is valid in that, I think it seems like quite a niche food product. I have no idea what the market size for Scotch eggs are. Do you mind just sharing a little bit more about what the market is like for Scotch eggs, especially in the retail environment, both vegan and non-vegan?
So it's the grab and go option, the fact that they're nutritionally valuable. So we're on par, we've got exactly the same amount of protein as a traditional chicken egg, but a fifth less calories and 7 grams less fat. So it's more that people are grabbing and go for the nutritional quality. So one of the things, since I've developed this whole egg, that's now a great product as a snack pot. The top selling snack of 2024 was an egg in a pot, which I find crazy, but I can only imagine that it's due to the nutritional value, keto, high in protein. So there is a huge market. It's a British staple in a buffet and a picnic snack. So we see a huge increase at Christmas time and then again throughout summer, because we know that people are buying them for buffets and picnic snacks. So it's open. What's been interesting is it's opened another opportunity, which kind of links back to my past of living in the Middle East. But as it's a product that's predominantly made with pork, it's a product that maybe Muslims have never tried because they've not seen a vegetarian option. So I've found that actually, because we've now got halal certification, that we can offer another target audience a product that's a niche. It's a unique thing for them because it's traditionally made.
Interesting. And I guess in terms of supply chain, is it a chilled food product or is it ambient?
Yeah, so it's chilled.
Chilled. What's the shelf life?
21 days. So since having the packaging, they used to be they're 10 days loose, but they're 21 days in the packet. A traditional Scotch egg has 5 to 7 days.
And what's the packs like? What's the case size of your product? Because I think, yeah, retailers, one of the biggest concerns would be wastage.
Yeah, so as they're eggs, they're sold in dozens. So there's 12 packs in a case. And then we're just working on moving into the pallet setting as well.
Wow, that's quite ambitious to try and sell 12 units, I'd say, in less than 21 days. So I think, yeah, interesting.
So we with our regular stockists, we find that they have Gloucester services, but also all of our independents have weekly orders. So they don't actually go they don't even go the full 10 days usually. They are restocking every week.
Yeah, I wonder what have you tried like selling your products in, say, like the north or in other parts of the UK?
Yeah.
Because what we find is that the southwest, I believe that's where Gloucester is one of our best selling regions, but it's also because it's very plant-based, I guess, forward.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of stockists up north, tea-based services in Carn Lodge, very north. And also I've done a lot of markets. So in the first 18 months, 2 years of the business, I was just taking these to food markets and food festivals. So it allowed me to test the waters. It was organic market research where I got honest feedback. And we always found that they sold very well up there, to the point that a company actually befriended me and then copied it. I tried.
And that is time up for quiz, unfortunately, but great question. And I can confirm that us Northerners do like a Scotch egg. So that's a wonderful question. Right, let's go to Joe for the final round of questions. So Joe Hill, please, next 3.5 minutes over to you.
Perfect. Yeah, firstly, thanks, Rianne. I think you've fed me at a few events over the years. So many happy trips home with a couple of big Scotch eggs keeping me going. Many questions have been answered already. Could you just confirm, I don't think anyone asked what the price is and how it compares to a traditional Scotch egg?
So they retail at £4.25 to £4.50, depending on where they are. They're on par with a handmade Scotch egg, an artisan product. So they're exactly the same price point. We sell them with a 44p retail margin, 44% retail margin, with a 72% margin for ourselves.
Okay, perfect. And you've talked about your sales so far, which is really impressive, by the way, and manufacturing. You mentioned you're planning to move to bigger premises and keep production in-house. Is that right?
Yeah, so our unit's called Clackingham Palace, of course. And so actually the premise next door, which is triple the size of ours, has come available. So we're going to be expanding into there on the 1st of April. I've just had my first round of investment funding. So the last 3 years has all been completely self-funded. I catered weddings to pay for the progression. I've thrifted my way through growing it and getting each aspect. I remember the first time I met David actually at Plant Based Summit, and you, Joe, I think. And I was in like makeshift packaging and I put it on the producer's table completely out of my depth. But I've just had an offer of my first investment round. So now we can actually get the facility set up.
Amazing. You answered my next question as well. So a slightly different curveball. Do you understand how many of your current customers are buying them for allergy purposes? How many are free from versus vegan consumers? Is that potentially a big part of the market?
I think for Gloucester it does. They're great at pushing the egg free, although it confuses people. We do get complaints that they're too realistic. But my next product that I've just finished developing is a cheese slice. like a plasticky American cheese slice that melts perfectly for burgers. And the reason that is we supply a company called Beefy Boys with burger patties. That's a byproduct of our Scotch eggs. And for them, it's to offer anyone with a dairy allergy a cheese slice on their burger now. So it's opening a whole other market. I wouldn't say that we're sold more for the allergen side, but we have a lot of interesting gluten-free option. And as the egg itself is gluten-free, it's made from potato and soya. So that's my next step is with some money to get the products tested and get the packaging developed.
And do you think, I was just making notes while you were talking, do you think there's a potentially a bigger market here than Scotch eggs, just going for a pure egg replacement for people looking for an on-the-go protein snack, but, for whatever reason, don't want egg, or it's, allergies or just want a healthier alternative?
Absolutely, and that's where I've really focused in the last 18 months, because I was aware that bird flu was getting worse. We've seen a massive increase. It's the worst it's ever been. There's been a huge cull of birds. That is only going to get worse as things progress. And so when there becomes egg shortages or price hikes because of avian flu, we can then step in and offer a more nutritious, more sustainable and more ethical solution that doesn't compromise anywhere along the line.
And time is up.
That's brilliant.
Time is up, and a wonderful point to end there. Thank you so much for keeping going when you've got that background noise going on.
I'm so sorry.
We're not going to hold that. Yeah, you're not going to hold that against you. We know that we were bad scheduling for you today, so thank you so much for keeping doing it. Thank you so much for being involved.
I've just been pitched to Wagamama's. That's where
exactly. Yeah.
So.
If you are a UK vegan business, wouldn't it be better to have an accountant that shares your ethics? Well, vegan accountants have got over 30 years of experience, and they're a vegan founded company. And just to add, they're also our accountants at Vegan Business Tribe, because they just get us. They understand why we do what we do, and they make sure that we're doing it in the most tax efficient way possible. Keith and his team, they've been massive supporters of our mission at Vegan Business Tribe. So if you are an established UK business with a growth mindset and you want an accountant that is going to help you grow and shares your mission as well as saves you tax, then just go to veganaccountants.co.uk to find out more. If you are looking to get your business in the news or on the radio or interviewed on TV, then no one's going to get your company noticed like Karen Ridgers and her team at Mad Promotions. And Karen, she's been at the forefront of the vegan media scene for the last 20 years. And Mad Promotions, they're also our media partners at Vegan Business Tribe. So if you've read about us in plant-based news or in Veg-Economist, then that's probably because Karen got that story there. So if you are an ethical company or entrepreneur that wants more media coverage, and if you're a company that is looking to make a difference, then that's literally what Mad Promotions stands for. Karen, she's worked with Veganuary, VegFest and all the other big names. So go find out more at mad-promotions.com. So let's move on then. So thank you so much. Right, so I'm going to share my screen again now. And we can, who are we going to next? We're now going to Bilal. So we're going to go to Bilal from United Beverages with his product, Alco Not. So just give me a second to share my screen so I can watch the video with you.
We've got some fantastic news for you ahead of the Oscars tonight. We entered the Vegan Food and Living Products Awards for 2025 in the Best Drinks category. And we won gold. Amazing result. I mean, it's a second award for our drinks in 2 years. We got the World Alcohol Free Award, commended for the World Alcohol Free Award for our signature blend. This year, all three won. It's an amazing result for us. We have a sister brand, which is Zero. It's the same product inside the bottle. It's a different packaging, different branding for a different market. We're so thrilled that we received the award for Alconaut. Hopefully next year we'll get some more. Thank you very much for listening.
Oh, wonderful presentation. So it is Bilal from Alkanot, which is a vegan, halal and alcohol-free gin blend. And Bilal does have a background as an accountant. So we'll start accountant to accountant, I think. So can we start with Keith Lesser, please, if you want to take the first 3.5 minutes?
Oh, no pressure then. All right, well, I'll start with non-accountancy stuff. Just wondering, Bilal, obviously Scotch eggs or whatever sweets, you automatically think that there's animal, ingredients in the mainstream. But when I think of alcohol-free or even gin, alcoholic gin or alcoholic-free gin, some of your competitors, I don't automatically think of animal products. So the fact that you're here and we're talking, does that mean that the other products in the market do actually contain dead animals?
I think there's a big difference between getting vegan certification and halal certification and the self-certification route. We went from a compliance angle right from the start. I wanted a halal product, but I wanted it to be all inclusive. And the only option that we came across, we went for kosher. We looked at kosher. Kosher was quite expensive, a repeat charge every year, and also their processes, they were long-winded, and we were getting to the point where we needed to do production. And we'd already engaged with the Vegan Society anyway, and we went for vegan. Vegan and halal gives it the biggest market in the world. Nobody can say no to vegan and halal. Whereas with kosher, you still got the alcohol component. Now, the reason we got the certification, because I didn't believe some of the self-certifications, and I've looked at one or two brands and asked them key questions, particularly on the halal bit, because that was the most important for me at the time. And the company feedback was, no, it's not halal. Right, so
what's in it? Sorry, just to clarify. What's actually in it that isn't vegan, some of these other products of your competitors? Because
there's two things with this. With the halal and vegan combination, I need to make sure that it was totally alcohol-free. So that the halal side. I needed to make sure it was vegan because, in halal, we're allowed to have, meat as well. So I wanted it compliant on both sides. Now, it might not be the ingredients in there. It might be something you use in your process.
Because sorry, I'm probably not explaining this very well. The angle I'm coming from, like with wine, they put fish in it, or sometimes with beer, there's dairy in it. So I was just wondering, with gin, do I need to be thinking, balls, I've got to think about this as well as a vegan?
I think you do, because if you look at some of the bigger players, none of them are, vegan certified. They don't have that on their thing. So, the curiosity, I haven't delved into every single brand, and I don't know alcohol. I'm a Muslim.
But there's a lack of certification in the gin industry. That's basically what we're saying here.
Certification and a lot of chemicalization of flavor. Now,
so that's what makes what you're doing unique. Okay, no, that's clear. And where are you at with kind of the business journey? Is it a new business? Is it well established, or?
So we launched in 2023, November and December 23 at the Liverpool Gin Festival. And we turned up in front of a bunch of, alcoholics, basically, who'd paid 15 quid for the ticket and just wanted to tank up and walk away. Having said that, we had over 250 people try our product, and every single one loved it. The people that dismissed it were the ones that were there for, the 40% alcohol, the poison in a glass. But even they turned around and said, we understand what you're doing and we like the taste. And, that said it all to us. We didn't sell many. It was a huge loss for us, but we'd infiltrated, the enemy, if you like.
And that is time up on that one. So thank you for Keith starting off with some difficult questions there. So yeah, always nice to delve in. Thank you, Keith. Right, so can we go to Chris Kong? And I don't know if Chris is a fan of alcohol-free or not, but Chris, over to you.
All right, thanks, Dave. But I guess to as a continuation of Keith's sort of line of questioning, like, who's your target market? Like, who's your ideal consumer for this product?
If I said everybody, would you be disappointed?
Very.
Because I come from a long consultancy background working in big companies like IBM and Deloitte and those kind of companies. And one of the things that I found is I'm the guy in the corner talking to all the so-called weirdos with the teetotaling cups, right, while everybody's getting sloshed. And it's a great thing if you're on a training course, because the first thing in the morning, you're the ones that are sober, you're the ones that are attentive, everybody else is passed out basically, up until about 15 coffees later and lunchtime. It's designed to be inclusive for pregnant women, okay, nominated driver, culturally restricted who don't drink alcohol, like myself, or religiously so, and anybody who wants to be inclusive. Now, the social issues in society, we get a lot of people coming up to our events and saying, my dad used to drink and it wasn't a great experience. So I'm interested in this product. And when we question them, have you ever drunk? No, I've never drunk. I've seen what it did to my parents. So there's those kind of social things as well. So if you take that as a whole, then I think we've got an all-inclusive drink that anybody can drink.
Sure, but like, what makes you different from other non-alcoholic drinks? I mean, apart from the vegan and halal certification.
So the feedback that we're getting is it's absolutely beautiful. The drink itself sells itself. We have the tasters and people walk away with the drink. We won 2 awards, and that tells you what we, in the video. I mean, that was by a horrible video, right? But the fact is, we put it into the World Alcohol Free Awards, which is a huge worldwide prestigious award. I didn't expect anything to come of it. We got commended, and this year we put it in. And sorry, I need to put a little quote in. The information I gave you, right, isn't to be put out outside this group up until June. But we won gold. And that's by 3 independent people in 3 independent locations looking at each of those drinks and making their criticism and coming up with it. I didn't expect that. I was basically in for, well, let's see what they say, because I look for advice from experts. And I got a phone call and I got told we'd won. And that was the day before I did that video.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Congrats on that. I guess you mentioned that you launched at the end of 2023.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you've been to at least one sort of tasting event. Are you available in stores? I can see that you sell online through your website, but do you have any distribution? What's the feedback been from consumers?
So I'm working on that at the moment. We've got 2 people that have taken it up as niche pubs. In terms of distribution, I'm looking for bigger distributors. We're doing lots and lots of events. We do a lot of vegan events, and we're finding that, our product has actually found its own niche, and it's a vegan market. The halal is not a problem at the moment. The reason we've got 2 brands is I want to take the zero to the Middle East, UAE being the first port of call. Zero sells itself, where Alkanot, somebody's got to work out what Alkanot is and what does it mean and all of those kind of things, but zero will sell itself.
And time is up for that, Chris, as well. Sorry about that. I can see you've got so many follow-up questions that you want to ask. Right, okay, let's keep going then. So can we go to Joe Hill next, please, for One Planet Pizza? Joe, 3.5 minutes.
Hello, everybody. Great answers so far. Sorry, I'm just going to throw random questions at you, so apologies if there's no structure to them. I wanted to start on the actual brand itself and dig a little bit into that, if that's okay.
Yeah.
First off, is the name or logo trademarked? Have you protected those?
Everything was trademarked before I put it into the bottle.
Yeah, okay.
Like I said, compliance was my first issue.
Yeah.
You get 2 years down the road and somebody says, oh, I've got a brand for that. You can't have it. That's 50 grand or whatever it is lost.
Brilliant. And apologies for lack of understanding of the market, but when I looked at your product, it took me a while to figure out what the alcohol-free drink is itself from the packaging. You're allowed to call it gin on front of pack, for example?
No, you're not.
No, okay.
So we have to be very careful on the terminology. I can't call it a gin. Gin has a specific legal meaning, and I think it's 28 or 38% ABV. Anything above that is a gin. Anything below that isn't. So I cannot put gin on there. My first labels included gin, and we had to throw those away. I went to the Wine and Spirits Trade Association for compliance rulings, and they guided me into the labels that are on that bottle now. So anywhere down the line, I'm hoping I don't fail unless there's a law change.
Yeah, understood. Do you see that as one of your main barriers to getting your product in front of people and getting them to purchase it? Is this issue around not being able to actually call it essentially what it is?
No. The alcohol-free market is a completely changed animal from 10 or 15 years ago. Right, you're getting all sorts of drinks in there. They don't have a name.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually linked it back and called it alternative to traditional gin. We've got a trademark called Generation. I've trademarked that.
I saw that on the website. Very impressive.
So that one I've trademarked Ginger as well.
Good.
Everything I'm using on my bottles is trademarked and it's compliant. I've not gone down the route of leaving a loose end on that. There might be loose ends that I've not come across, but it's vital to anybody, creating a brand that you protect it.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And have you got a main competitor at the moment in the gin alternative space specifically?
Well, if you look at the alcohol-free market, it's more, it's not so much competition, it's more a community. And I love that bit. With the big people, Diageo et al., right? It is hugely competitive. You will very, very rarely find a competitive product in the big stores because it's all controlled by the big five or the big three. So getting into those, I'm saying, well, really, do I need to be in there? If my vegan background or halal background people aren't going to Tesco's in the spirit section, then I need to be looking elsewhere for a distributor.
Yeah, understood. And could you just explain a little bit about who's on the team and what their roles are? I think you mentioned you've got 2 people coming onto the team or already there.
Okay, so you want to come in? My daughter sat there. So she did all the blending right at the beginning. Okay. We did after that is we pushed it out to a manufacturer that makes stuff for Harrods, Harvey Nicks, and Kohler Mason, Okado, everybody, right? We went there because we didn't have a drink. We had curried water, is the way I explain it. They put their magic in, and they've produced some of the best drinks that I've drank on the. I would say that though, wouldn't I? But the 95% feedback from events is amazing, and the 2 awards talk for themselves.
And time is up, unfortunately, on that one. But thank you for those questions, Joe. Very good questions as well. Let's go to the other Joe then. Joe Flynn, please, from the Vegan Society. 3.5 minutes to you.
Hey, Joe stole a couple of my other questions that I had lined up there, but I guess that's what's going last gets you. But the flavourings that you've decided to go with, how did you decide on which flavours? What kind of consumer testing did you do with that? Feedback, etc.
Right. So the consumer testing that we did was on this one, which is our classic dry. We had about 35 people involved in the testing between 2018 and 2022. And they were friends and people that were recommended by friends who were gin drinkers, beer drinkers, all those kind of people. And we took it to the point where we had 11 versions of Alkanock in its pure form. And then we fine-tuned it by 3 additional versions by the producers in Leicester. And then we came up with that. When it came up to the flavored ones, we've got the pomegranate flavor. I'm a head deep pomegranate. I just absolutely love the taste of that, right? So I was able to gauge what I wanted to see in it. Having drunk many, many pomegranate drinks in my past, I didn't want it to be too sweet that, you're thirsty afterwards. And the raspberry one, we as a family decided what that was going to be. That had about 3 versions, additional versions before we got it right. And I'll go back to the fact that we won this award on all 3 drinks. We've actually hit the nail on the head, so people are telling us that it's a good drink.
Yeah, that's impressive. So obviously there's a lot of stats around, younger generations moving away from alcohol as well. So like in terms of like marketing, what are you doing to kind of reach that market? And a kind of a follow-on question to that is like what scenarios do you see people like drinking this with and like pairing with foods and that kind of thing?
We've done the pairing with foods. We had a mixologist on board from 2023 onwards, and before we actually created the first drink. Now we've had some stuff commissioned off him when the 3 drinks were produced. We had a production run in November of last year. After that production run, I took the drinks to him. I said, "Look, do your magic." So he's come up with the training notes, the mixing cocktail notes, and the food pairings. I wanted that food pairing specifically because I think that's where the market's going. I don't think I can sell a product unless I also say, you know what, it's going to go great with, X, Y, and Z. And so he's come up with those. So we're issuing those to anybody who's interested, and we're also putting those on social media, from time to time.
And you say like X, Y, Z. What kind of food pairings do you see with some of the products as some examples?
In 10 seconds, 10 seconds.
But I can send you that. I can send you that. It's varied. It's vegan chicken, vegan fish, vegan this and that, the other. We've done the vegan side, not just the non-vegan side.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joe. And a very unique and sometimes adjacent product as well. So I'm a big fan myself. Thank you so much. Right. So we've got one last finalist left. So we've got the lovely Natasha Arumbi, who is the vegan patty lady. So if you give me 1 second again, just to share my screen.
Hi, my name is Natasha Arumbi and I'm CEO and founder of The Vegan Patty Lady, and we make Jamaican vegan curry patties that taste like meat. The business started in 2023 after a 4-year journey of becoming vegan. After discovering the direct correlation between my diet and my health, my asthma has been completely eradicated, same with my hay fever. And after realizing that the vegan diet had to be the way forward, I was extremely frustrated by the lack of Caribbean inspired and tasty nutritional food options that there were out there. In my desperation to satisfy my own pain point, I created the vegan patty. It was not intended to be a retail product, but after seeing the amazing response per posting it in my social media, I realized that there were many other people that desired this food too. So we became a brand. We've won multiple awards. We have done over 30,000 in sales, listed in over 7 locations, and we are really excited about exploring more opportunities.
Natasha, you've got the next 15 minutes, and we're going to start with Chris Kong from Better Nature Tempeh. Chris, over to you.
Hey, Natasha, great to meet. I'd love to learn a little bit more about the ingredients that go into your products. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about that? You know that UPF is all the rage these days.
Yeah, so basically that was one of my pain points. I don't really, as a vegan, I often found that lots of the food was ultra processed. So I've made these just simply from walnuts and vegetables. So each of the different flavors are walnut based, but there's either mushrooms, lentils, or chickpeas to vary the flavors, and that's it.
Nice. And is it a chilled food product or is it sold
It's a
frozen?
frozen product.
Frozen. And you're
Yeah.
targeting retail, not food service?
Targeting retail and food service is
Okay.
the plan for the route to market.
Fantastic. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about the traction that you have so far?
Yeah, so we launched into our first retail 6 months after we've made our first patty. So we went into a Nisa, and then we followed by a number of two cost cutters. Then we're in the Black Farmer Farm Shop. And we have just recently secured a listing in Ocado. We'll be going into Ocado just after Easter. Hopefully, we're in the onboarding phase. So basically, we've had a lot of traction considering it's less than 2 years old.
Fantastic. And I guess who is your target consumer?
So
Who you don't know?
initially, I thought it was going to be just vegans, but I have surprisingly found that my market is predominantly flexitarians who are trying to reduce their meat intake, but they're not completely vegan. And so basically they love the taste of the product because they actually taste very, very much like meat. So they are a great seller in terms of the fact that they've got such a duplicity in terms of their reach.
Fantastic. And I guess in terms of manufacturing, how are you currently manufacturing your products?
So we have a salsa kitchen that we made salsa ourselves. It's completely myself and my family who are literally working through the night to make it happen. We're currently trying to source manufacturing, and the Ocado range has taken the gluten-free, which is where we're getting some friction with some manufacturers being a little bit hesitant because of the cross-contamination. So there's vegan and gluten-free. But we are in the process of considering doing a raise so that we can secure our own production facility, because we've got people that are ready to sign up to be employees. We just need a space. So that's what we're exploring at the moment.
So I don't know how much time we've got left, but to what extent do you think vegan is a selling point versus, say, just a healthier patty?
So I think the vegan is because a lot of people, as I said, are trying to reduce their meat intake. I think there's a lot of controversy about what animals are being fed, the antibiotics, and so many people are resisting meat in general. So not just a healthy focus, but actually removing the meat. So many are not ethical vegans, but they are contending against the way that animals are farmed now.
Thank you so much.
So let's go next to Joe Hill, please. Joe Hill from One Planet Pizza, 3.5 minutes.
Hello, Tasha. I hope you're well.
Yeah.
Good answers so far and great video. Really enjoyed it. We've obviously known you for at least a year or so now. So yeah, I guess the first question is, are you worried that you lack any energy or enthusiasm for the brand?
Absolutely not.
I had to do something like that. First thing that came to mind, I don't know if we've talked about this before. Do you have any legal, legitimate health claims versus traditional patties, of the same flavour or size, e.g. 30% less fat or 50% less salt?
Not legally, in terms of, we have measured the protein just through the nutritional testing, and we know that in a box of patties is 25 grams for the 6 assorted patties that are the retail SKUs. But I've been told by the labelling lawyer I can't put that on as a protein claim. I didn't go into why, but he said that it's not legally, it's just, can't claim that.
Okay, I think it has to be 30% minimum when I last checked. That would explain it.
I was like, why?
It may be worth looking at for HFSS, because we've had to do this before, and it's you could do it online and work it out. But you don't know, are you HFS compliant, or have you not looked at this yet?
I started looking at it, but I haven't completely done all the scoring yet to confirm that. But yeah, I've been told to start looking into HFS because that will help me with the listings. Yeah.
I would. I think for your products, because I don't think your traditional competition would be compliant.
I don't think they would.
Meat in there. So
yeah.
If you could tick that box with those plant-based ingredients, that would give you a huge advantage.
Absolutely.
We can help you with that, Tasha. On a side note,
great tip.
Do you have an understanding of how many of your consumers are buying for free from allergen intolerance purposes?
I would say since the last quarter, that has been a massive increase. I don't know what happened. I think what happened was a vegan influencer went on her page and shouted us out, and we got an influx of gluten-free, and it's since just become crazy. And Ocado took it on the back of that, because we just keep getting reviews, and then we've just done the Free From Festival and sold the most that we've ever sold there, and weekly that's the biggest seller is gluten-free now, which is crazy.
That's really good to know. And so I know Chris mentioned you mentioned Ocado to Chris. Could you give me an update on that? So you've launched the gluten-free version on Ocado, and that's available now?
It goes on. I think we're on Olive now. We've just been invited to something else. So we've done the first couple of steps. I think they said that I have to send the box in to get weighed or something. And that's the next bit, and then we're nearly there. It's not finished yet.
Yeah, it's really interesting that they seem to go down the gluten-free route.
Yeah,
so it just makes me think that there's a bigger market there compared to vegans than, for example, I think for every one vegan in the UK, roughly, there are about 3 or 4 people who are dairy-free for allergen reasons. So it's a much bigger market.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the same when you think it's gluten-free too.
Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant. And sorry, just looking at my notes. Do you have the ability to fund the Ocado listing? Do you know how much you might need to support the media or promos?
And 10 seconds to answer that, Natasha.
Yeah, basically, we definitely will need to build on that, but we've been told that there's flexibility. So yeah, I don't know the exact amounts, but yeah,
Yeah.
we will have to get help.
And it's not through By Women Built, is it? Because that might be worth connecting with their team to help with Ocado. They've done a big push recently with the female CEO.
Yeah, I think it's because I was only 18 months. Just last month, I wasn't able to join. So yeah.
Definitely the next round, I would get on that. It looks like a brilliant cohort to be part of.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chris. You are at your time, but again, amazing questions to ask, and I think we really got to the centre of it all there as well. So let's keep going. So can we go next, please, to the other Joe Flynn, please, from the Vegan Society?
Hey Tasha, how you doing?
Hi, Joe.
Yeah, love the product, and I guess I think for me your personality comes through the product, which is really cool to see. Can you just talk through like how you went about that, the process from like the actual product itself to the packaging, and kind of how you've wanted to get your personality across as well?
Yeah, do you know what? None of it was intentional. I literally struggle to contain myself. I literally feel like yeah, it's just a natural part of me, which is suppressed at work because I have to be very serious. I do safeguarding. So I think as soon as I'm out there, I feel like I'm extra enthusiastic. But in terms of starting the brand, it was just something I did in my kitchen, as I said, just for myself. I had no intention to retail it. I was doing a laughing at myself video saying, look, everybody, I'm making patties at midnight. Ha ha ha. And that's when everybody just started saying, oh, do you sell it? Do you sell it? Do you sell it? 20 comments later, I said, yeah, okay, I will sell it. So that was a journey from non-retail to retail.
And then yeah, like in terms of like the package design and things like that, what was your like process with that, and how did you land on what you have now?
Yeah, so initially our first box, I kind of was going for the authentic wood grain effect, but it did not sell my personality, and that's what people commented, like they would miss it in the shelf. So I said, no, I need joy, I need fun, and the yellow I knew I had to get in because of happiness. But then I just thought, well, actually, the Jamaican colours are yellow, green, and black. Let me just, really sell that and just let the Jamaican shine through.
No, that's great. And is it the three different flavor at the
Yes.
moment? Yeah. So
Yeah.
is there any kind of thoughts in the future of what potentially
Oh
you could
yes,
do?
I've got several flavors. There's one that I'm just speaking to a collaboration. Cheesy beef is definitely on the cards. I'm just trying to find a great vegan cheese. But the plan is to definitely expand not just the patties, but we've got other products in mind as well.
Amazing. And I guess like so to date, like what would you say the biggest challenges you faced to get where you've got to today?
I think the biggest challenge is doing this alongside working full time. I work full time, so I often have to work through the night to get things done. And yeah, I put them on the producer's table. I'm here right now. I'm Brother Jam. So yeah, I work through the night often to get things done, but I'm passionate. I'm determined to do this. I'm going to do whatever it takes. So I've got friends and family that will come alongside me as and when I need it. But in general, it's me.
No, that's great. That's commendable. And I guess like do you sell like directly through your own website or anything like that? Is that how you do? Is that where you make your like individual sales to consumers at the moment?
Yeah, so we've got a website, and I also do a lot of pop-up activations. Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. So basically, yeah, that is our mostly D2C orderings through that, and then at pop-up activations, we acquire lots of new customers.
That's great. And what kind of like traction do you get to your website? Is it mainly through like advertising, or kind of is it being organic
This
growth?
has been all organic. We're all very bootstrapping brands here, so everything is whatever we can get cheap as possible. So we've got a 31% reorder rate and 5.19% conversion rate. So we're doing pretty good on the stats. People do love it and they do come back.
And that is time up, wonderful. And I think someone's just put in the chat that they're ordering a box as we speak. So your conversion rate might have just gone up a little bit. Okay.
I just saw it.
Fantastic. So, Keith, finish us off with the last 3.5 minutes. Keith Less, a vegan accountant.
It's absolutely outrageous because everyone's stolen all my questions. But yeah, I suppose I'll come back to the numbers. But this thing about Simon Squibb, do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I saw Simon Squibb. I hope the music is not too loud. I think they're coming out on break now. But I saw Simon Squibb on social media, and I decided to go and pitch to his doorbell. And thankfully, he saw my pitch and invited me to create the world's largest vegan patty. And that we considered as our launch. And on the back of that, he gave me £5,000, which was what we used to get the first set of boxes in our freezer. And that was why we were able to launch into retail within 6 months, because we had that little boost, and that gave us the door.
And was that just, here you go, here's £5,000, or was it keep in touch, or how does that all pan
So
out?
he's got a community called Help Bank, which has just launched an app today. I'm not promoting for him, but basically he has kept in touch. He frequently sends his team to do updates, and I'll get definitely, I mean, there's no investment in terms of, he's not got a percentage of the business, and I don't get like one-to-one advice, but he's very much keeping on top, and he definitely promotes me a lot. He shouts me out at every opportunity, so I'm really grateful.
Very good. So obviously with this new listing, that's very exciting. But I mean, do you have any kind of forecast around that? Is it just completely uncertain at this stage? Do you know what others have done that have kind of been in a similar position to what you are now?
Not really. I just know that they are, taking incremental growth. So they're starting off with a small order to see how it goes. Which is, for me, I'm grateful, because once I see that proof of concept, I'll be able to go to the manufacturers and say, look, guys, this went in 1 week. That's what I'm hoping is going to happen. So this is why you need to support us. And even going to an investor, that's what my hope would be.
That's brilliant. And has it given you like a massive amount of confidence sort of when you think about the future potential of the business?
Yeah, 100%. Like, to be quite listed with a major brand like that, with no previous retail experience, within less than 18 months. I met Charmaine like just in December, so to get here so fast, that's a massive piece of confidence to show that they're passionate about it and they love it as well.
And is there then the next stage, is it kind of consolidate, or is it all systems go with growth? Where are you kind of at with that?
Yeah, I think consolidation. I want to get a recurring revenue in to really stabilize us, to make sure that we can really build the brand and get some security, and then expand. I think that would be my first priority, is to really get financially stable and not be kind of like hand to mouthing and worrying where the next money's coming in from.
And I not to want to put words in your mouth, but I suppose, well, you might tell me otherwise, but is it on the roadmap to kind of move away from the 2-job scenario?
100%. I see, my boss knows. She knows I'm on a timer. She's like, just work part-time, just stay, please. But I just said, as soon as this is paying me enough so that I don't have to rob the business, I'm out. Like, that is on the cards, 100%. She's begging me to stay as long as possible. But as soon as this business is not good, I don't want to rob the business of growth. That's the only reason why I've not left. So it's intentional, but I will do what it takes to keep it going alongside the job as long as I can.
That is time up. And what a wonderful way to end that as well. So thank you so much, Natasha, and a brilliant entry, as everybody has been. So that's it for the finalists. Finalists, you've now done everything you could possibly do to sway our judges. So what's going to happen next, and you might need to bear with me because I'm going to try and do something technical, is I'm going to try and put all the finalists into a breakout room together for the next 5 minutes while the judges decided on our winner. I want to go quickly around the room though. So Chris, can I start with you? Just for 60 seconds, what was your view on the finalists, and who would you put through as your winner?
Yeah, I think Wild Things is probably the most, like, I was just very, very impressed by Fliss. I thought she answered all the questions. She knows her stuff. Like, she's quite experienced in the space. The branding's on point. I'm not fully sold on the product proposition, but that's because I don't know sweets enough. But like, I think the branding's on point. The USPs, I guess, to a layman like me, when it comes to sweets, makes a lot of sense. No nasties, half the sugar. It was just very clear. I thought I had a very good, I thought it has great mass market appeal, which I felt was probably what was lacking from everyone else, to be completely frank. So,
and who would be your runner-up, Chris?
Runner-up, it'll be between Natasha and Rianne. Yeah, probably Natasha between the two. Yeah, I like her energy. I think her branding needs a lot of work. Like, I don't think that's going to be mass market appeal, but I feel like perhaps her becoming a runner-up could really give her a leg up, you know. And I think Rihanna's excellent, but like I also do. I'm not, you know, she's been at it for a while. She hasn't really gone much like retail distribution. It's mainly focused on the Southwest. It sounds like. Price point seems quite high. Shelf life is really short. Case sizing at 12, with a shelf life of 21 days is tough. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
No, yeah, perfect answer. Thank you, Chris. Right, let's keep going around the room. Keith Lesser, give me your winner and your runner-up.
Yeah, I think I'd go with Fliss as well. Just because of the mass appeal of the product, you could see that really appealing to the retailers, I think, you know, because that selling to non-vegans, you know. Yeah, I don't know really. I didn't really have clarity from Bilal. I mean, I did a quick search on Amazon. Like, it seems like there's quite a lot of vegan, alcohol-free stuff. So I'm still not kind of really getting that one fully. And then yeah, with Natasha, I mean, I think I probably just about have Natasha as runner-up, given that Ocado credibility, but I wasn't kind of totally sure if she's in a position to take on more listings. So it might be a little bit weak on that kind of, I suppose, financial corner. But yeah, I think with the Scotch eggs, I mean, the other products might be more interesting, but it does seem very niche. And I mean, I'd love to eat it, but I think you are very much selling to vegans, and I don't know if I could see that being taken on with the current branding. I think it would have to be a accidental purchase, which at the moment it's a very deliberate vegan purchase, I think.
I think you're 100% right. Although I've got to admit that they are very good. As Joe will tell you as well, I think we've all tried some of those too. Can we go to Joe Flynn next, please, from Vegan Society? Joe, give me your winner and your runner-up.
Yeah, I think what Joe said about with Bilal with the gin, I was a bit confused with that as well. It took me a while to realise it was meant to be a gin like product replacement, so I could see the confusion around that. You see, I really liked Rianne's like whole background story, how she's got there to where it is. I think that's something as a vegan product, like you can get behind, like as a vegan consumer, you understand that where it's got to. I really like that. Natasha's personality, I think, was great, and that comes through the product. But yeah, Wild Things probably does have the overall kind of package as such in terms of if you look at everything together. But I still think, as the product, I'm not a massive. I was not sold on the product as such. So I think I would actually put Natasha first and Rianne runner up, only because the sweet product side of it is just something that's probably not as interesting to me personally, which is maybe being a bit harsh, but.
Wonderful feedback, and you've put us in a very exciting situation now where Joe Hill has the power in his hands to decide who the winner is. So, Joe, who is your winner and who is your runner-up?
Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. Everyone's making good points, and I tend to generally agree. Yeah, I think the alcoholic market is obviously massive and growing and very exciting, but I wasn't 100% clear on the branding and the proposition, and I think not being able to say gin is going to be a massive barrier. And there are so many bigger, brands in that space. I think that the chance of succeeding is going to be incredibly small, and it's a challenge. Scotch eggs, love the story, love the founder. I think maybe Chris mentioned that the branding probably needs the most work, and I don't know if I would want to put that in front of retailers. Export partners at this stage. I think she needs a bit more help with that first and keep testing the market. She has a lot of product ideas, but really understanding, I think there's a bigger market there for just an egg replacer, which hasn't been cracked yet. So that would be more exciting, but then I think that needs a bit more work. Who doesn't love Tasha? I mean, it's infectious, her energy and her smile and her passion for the brand and her story. And the product's obviously great for those reasons. And I think she's with the Ocado coming up, I think she needs some help with HFSS and the health benefits. I think those could be, really important ways to give her the edge over traditional patties.
So who is your winner and who is your runner-up?
Oh God, is Mike not going to come in and help?
Mike's going to come in and help if it's a split decision.
Okay, well, look, I'm personally, my gut's telling me that we can help Tasha the most at this stage. I think Fliss sounds like she's got great backing. She's got a good team already, and I think she's going to succeed. I think she's got a great chance of succeeding, and it's a really big market, and I think the brand's ready to go. I think Tasha probably could benefit from this more than Fliss for that reason. I think she needs the support. She's juggling it with her other job. This might be what just gets it over the edge, and she can put more time into it. So I'd go Tasha followed by Fliss for those reasons.
Wow. Okay, then I have to come to Mike Hill.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
So
get Mike involved.
I didn't want to get involved.
Mike, let me just tell you the scores on the door. So we've got two people who've put Fliss first, and then Fliss comes as a runner-up once, and then we've got two people who put Nat first, but Nat comes up as a runner-up twice. So if we were looking just at the figures, then Natasha would go through as the winner, and Fliss would be our runner-up. But you do have a deciding call as veg-net.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's between the two, definitely. And it's really interesting that there are different strengths and weaknesses. And I'm not 100, I think Fliss has got everything right. But like a few other people said, I'm just not sure about that whole sweet thing. Yes, it's vegan, but it's still quite high in sugar. It's just less sugar, isn't it? Having said that, she's got all the stuff behind her. She's got the experience. She's got investment. She said for 2 or 3 years, which is amazing that she's already got that in place. So the chances are that she's going to be, successful. However, I think, I'm not just saying this because Joe. I'm not just agreeing with Joe for the sake of it. He'll tell you we quite often disagree, but I think the thing with Natasha is that I think she could. There's a lot of room for improvement there, in the branding, in the production, because she's still very much, home kitchen sort of production mentality, and she needs to start thinking, I think, co-man ASAP for a product like that. So if I would go for very, very marginally, I would go for Natasha, but partly because of what Joe says, that I think she could do the help more than Fliss, and also I think the nature, the event and the brands, I think the vegan pate stuff is more suited to that than a sweet which is 50% less sugar, but still probably relatively high in sugar.
Right. Well, we are up at time then, so we have a winner. Right, so hopefully people should be coming back in the room now. And I've got to say, that was tight. That was quite stressful going through that. It wasn't unanimous. We had to go to our silent judge, Mike Hill, who is here representing veg-net, to cast a winning vote on that. So I'm going to go to Mike. So Mike, do you quickly, let me just mute everybody. Mike, you have to unmute yourself again. So Mike, do you want to very quickly just let the room know who our winner is and who our runner-up is? Do you want to start with the runner-up first, Mike?
Yeah, sure. So as you said, Dave, incredibly close, particularly between the last two. So close that I'm about to announce who the runner-up is. We'd like to do a very, very special offer to the runner-up, just to really show how close and tight it was, and the fact that I had to be called in to make a final decision between 4 such esteemed judges, I think, just shows how tough the competition is. But the runner-up for Battle of the Brands 2025 is Wild Things.
Fantastic, Fliss. So Fliss, and again, it was a split decision, so you'd be interested to know. But Mike is going to make you a very special offer to see if we can still get you to veg-net. So he will be contacting you afterwards as well. So Mike, that leaves you just now announce the winner.
Big drum roll. As I said before, incredibly tight. There was only 2 or 3 things. I had to call me in to split the judges. But I guess we felt energy, enthusiasm, product, but also the fact that we think that the free place at veg-net can really help this lady and this brand. So the overall winner of Battle of the Brands veg-net 2025 is the vegan patty lady.
Natasha, unmute yourself and give us your winner's speech.
Everyone's looking at me.
She's overcome, David.
So honestly, when I heard everybody's pitches, I was like, oh my God, thanks. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for your help so much, honestly. Thank you.
Oh, that is amazing. So thank you so much for that, Tasha. Thank you to everybody else as well. Like I said, it wasn't just close between those 2 finals. It was close between everybody at the end as well. So what's going to happen is Natasha has won our free place at veg-net. There's also another special offer that's going to go to all finalists as well, which Mike will send out because we want you all to be in the room. We want you all to be on that event because it really will help make all your brands move forward as well. And then there's a special final offer. All our finalists will also get a 60-minute one-to-one with whichever of the judges that you want to have a one-to-one with. And again, myself and Mike, we will contact you afterwards to get that rounded up as well, just so that you can get some more inspiration and some more help and advice from the people in the room. So thank you so much for joining us. This has been an absolutely amazing session. Thank you to those who have had internet problems as well and some tech problems on making this happen. But we'll see you all hopefully at veg-net 2025. Catch you later.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
And that was amazing. And congratulations to all our finalists, and especially Natasha, who is the vegan patty lady, who wins a free place at veg-net 2025, where she's going to enjoy a full day of back-to-back meetings with retail buyers looking for new, innovative plant-based products in the UK and across Europe. And then our runners-up also, who win half-price tickets to the event, plus a 1-hour one-to-one with one of our 4 judges. And that was Fliss from Wild Things, who make healthier plant-based sweets with half the sugar of other brands, but twice the attitude. And then Rianne from The Scotchy, a plant-based Scotch egg that tastes just as great, but lets the pigs and chickens off Scotch-free. And finally, Bilal with Alkanaut, which is a premium alcohol-free botanical drink handcrafted by artisans for gin lovers, certified vegan, halal, and alcohol-free. Do go take a look at all those brands and just keep your eye on them for the next year because they're all going to go on to do amazing things. And if you want to join us at veg-net on June the 4th, 2025 at London Stansted, you can actually just go buy a ticket to the event if you want. So if you've got a brand and you want to get a day full of retail buyer meetings, you can go buy your own ticket at veg-net.org. So thank you so much for joining us for our live final, and I'll see you on the next one.